Number 2, my favorite etude, but I feel like every year the slow etude is my favorite etude, and that's just kind of the kind of person that I am. So there you go. It's number 30, Anderson Etude in D sharp minor, Opus 33, number 14. Yes. Tempo range dotted quarter note is from 52 to 56, so that's a really small range. There are actually some errors in this one. Make sure in measure 13 that you add the slur of the grace note. I don't know why you wouldn't play a grace note slurred anyway, but just it's not written in there, so just write it in there. Then measure 21, that last triplet should be slurred like that phrase is in measure 5. When it's slurred up there and it's not slurred down there, and it's supposed to be slurred. On to performance guide reading number 2. This beautiful etude should be performed with your most expressive tone, skillfully employing vibrato to aid in the richness of sound and direction of phrases, always moving towards cadences. I strongly encourage you to think of this etude in sharps, not to rewrite it in flats, as that will confuse many of the accidental markings. Practice your F sharp major scale as well as your D sharp harmonic minor scale to help the fingering patterns feel familiar. The double sharp marking might be new to many students. It is printed as a small X and indicates you should add 2 sharps to the note. For example, in measure 3, the C has a double sharp, so it is raised twice to a C sharp, then again to a D natural. Follow the printed dynamic scheme, taking note of the hairpins in most phrases where the crescendo leads to the peak of the phrase and the decrescendo comes away from it. This follows the natural shape of the line and should direct not only your dynamics, but also your vibrato. The phrases are long, and it is acceptable to breathe in the middle of them if needed. Take care that the phrases within a breath do not stop the forward motion. This can be achieved by matching the tone quality, dynamic level, and vibrato speed immediately before and after a breath. The small cadenza in measure 22 can be played freely with rubato. I recommend a breath after the high F sharp, then don't breathe again until after the half note in measure 24. The woman has spoken. Now it is time for me to speak. We're doing our 5 key points again, just like we did in the last one. We're gonna do it again in the next one. I like patterns. Bear with me. Alright, number 1 is write your key signature notes. Like she said in her explanation, you should write in your accidentals, write in your key signature. Do not be one of those people who refuses to write in their music because you think it makes you look cool or more talented. Or I don't need that. I'm too good for that. You are not. Write in your music. No one cares what your music looks like. The judges will never see it. They will not know if you have a clean, brand spanking new copy that you just like tore out of a book, or if you have one that is completely covered in highlighter and like a bunch of pen markings and it's literally crumpled like it's 60 years old. They will not know. They only hear what you play. Number 2 is rhythms before rubato. You're going to get tired of me being a broken record, but I'm gonna say it again. You gotta start slow with a metronome. In this etude, there are a lot of different types of rhythms. Make sure you know how to differentiate between the 8th notes, the triplets, and the 16th notes. The judges are going to be excruciatingly picky. If they hear maybe, oh, it kind of sounded like they were 16th notes, but kind of like triplets, they're not going to give you the benefit of the doubt. They are going to take points off for incorrect rhythms. 100% guarantee. The main thing that's really going to help you differentiate those rhythms is subdividing in your head, varying your kind of subdivision based on what rhythm you're going to play next. Especially during long notes, when you're about to enter a new rhythm, you need to subdivide your long notes. Measure 1, when you have that quarter note, it leads into triplets, so you should be thinking of that in triplets. You go to measure 2 and you have the dotted quarter note, it leads into an 8th note, so you need to be thinking in 8th notes while you're playing the dotted quarter note to make sure that you come in on time for the 8th note. One thing I like to do is write little tick marks on the downbeats, or even straight up writing in numbers, like writing 2 and or 2E and When you're going through all the rhythms, you also need to make sure that you're playing the articulation correctly. Not everything is just going to be, oh, there's a triplet, you slur the 3 notes, and then you move on to the next one and it's tongued. That's not how this etude is. Only after you master this whole piece perfectly with a metronome can you add rubato. Rubato essentially means that you're going to be pushing and pulling the tempo a little bit, to make it more expressive and emotional and more like music. You want to sneak into the beginning of phrases that start at piano and push and drive, go a little faster by the time you get to the peak, and then you're going to slow down as you're going down the mountain. It's not going to be very dramatic. You do not want to be all over the place with your tempo, so the judges think, oh, this girl just doesn't know how to maintain her tempo. Or guy. Sorry. Don't assume gender in 2018. You can only take slight liberties in how much you push and pull. Know how to play the rhythms correctly before you try to make it more expressive, because the judges will take points off if they think that you're not in tempo or that you're not playing your rhythm correctly. Number 3 is mimic the bobby pins. Alright, the TMEA lady called them hairpins, but I call them bobby pins, okay? So I'm just gonna call them bobby pins. For those of you who don't know what I mean when I say bobby pins, I mean the crescendos and decrescendos that are marked in your music. Hence, why I did this. A lot of dynamics are written out for you in this etude, and Anderson's not just going, oh, I want you to start piano here and be mezzo forte by here. He's not even just writing the C-R-E-S-C period crescendo marking. He is drawing in the bobby pins for you, trying to show you how he wants the piece to move up and down, how he wants the phrases to be portrayed. He gives you plenty of guidance, so please follow them. But don't go overboard. There is such thing as going overboard, and you'll know it when you do it, okay? Okay. Number 4, persist your pitch. While you are endeavoring these dynamic changes I so mentioned before, don't let your pitch go all over the place. If you want to work on expanding your dynamic range while still making sure that you're in pitch, first work on your forte and making sure that you really get a full and rich sound that resonates as loud as you can. You can't just do that by focusing on your muscles from your throat up. You have your whole body. Use your abdominal muscles to push more air out. You can't just focus on your air if you want to play loudly though. Your mouth should be loose and relaxed when you're playing forte, even in your high register. In fact, it should even be more relaxed in your high register. A lot of people will try to tense up their corners and pull back their mouth, straining to get this loud sound, and it should not be that way at all. That's when you get that really, really shrill sound that everyone thinks of when we say, oh, I'm a flute player, and they're like, it should feel really easy to just blow out of this comfortable mouth position. If you really want a good exercise to try to practice filling up your sound and really opening up your throat, try singing and playing. If you've never tried this before, you can look up some videos and watch a couple tutorials and learn how to do it. You're just using the same embouchure as you would when you're playing your flute, and you're going to make the same sound on your flute. You're just also resonating a tone in your throat. So singing. Anything from scales to thirds to arpeggios. You can even play parts of the etude while singing and playing. You can use this on fast etudes as well. You don't have to just use this on the slow etude. But you're really going to get the feeling of opening up your throat because you're going to have a sound that's vibrating your throat as you're playing. Sing and play for a little bit and then go back to playing. Your sound is going to be completely different now. The thing that most people have trouble with is playing piano and not letting their pitch drop. A lot of people think that playing loud and playing soft, there's a difference in your airstream and that you're blowing really, really fast when you're playing loud and you're blowing just like barely anything when you're playing soft. This is not the case. You should have the same air speed and amount of air as you would when you're playing loud as you do when you're playing soft. The difference is in your aperture. Sorry guys, my camera died and hopefully now I'm back on track. What was I saying? Oh yes, pitch. When you're playing soft, you need to focus on the movement of your mouth. You need to make the aperture of your embouchure a lot smaller than if you were playing loudly. Think about bringing your lips forward as if you're making an ooh shape. That'll help you. Number 5, create emotion with your phrases and vibrato. One of the huge advantages that we, as flute players, have over a lot of other instruments is that we get to use vibrato. Once you go through the etude and see how you want to shape your phrases, you can use your vibrato to help drive those phrases forward. Probably gonna be 4-measure phrases again. Just saying. A vital way to make your phrases sparkle and convey the emotion that Anderson wants to be conveyed is through your vibrato. You want to make your vibrato faster and more spiraling when you get to the top of the peak in a shimmery, gorgeous tone, and then as you get to the end of the phrase, you want your vibrato to taper off, get slower, and even maybe play a straight tone at the end. You can play with vibrato so much, and it really changes how your emotion sounds. Because remember, we make music, right? Right. Yes. Yes. Here are the few other side notes. Really play the grace notes like grace notes. Don't give them too much length. I know that we're playing something that's slow, but don't give it a whole 16th note or even 8th note length. It's still a grace note. Notice the difference between the length of the second note in measure 3 and the second note in measure 19. You think that the phrases are exactly the same and it's just reiterating the opening phrase, but that note in 3 is a 32nd note and 19 it's a 16th note. Watch for that. Also, when you're repeating that phrase and it's starting in measure 17, make it a little different than when you played it the first time. I know it is like an exact copy-paste except for that one note length. Maybe you have a different dynamic range, like start smaller and get a lot bigger, or you can even take the whole thing up a dynamic level, so you're going from mezzo piano to forte rather than piano to mezzo forte. It's up to you, but it would be really nice if you could just make it a little different than that first phrase started off as. Make sure after you play the F sharp fermata that you tongue the D sharp before you begin the descent and into that trill. And with that trill, you need to make sure that you have enough air so that you can hold it out really long. It says long underneath it. And then continue into the next phrase because like the TMEA lady said, you can't breathe until measure 24. Use those last 3 notes to really show off your tone in a soft and gentle way. You want that very, very last note, that fermata in the last measure, to taper off almost into nothingness and maybe even end on just a straight tone, or if you can get a little whistle to come out, ooh, you're gonna have the judges on the edge of their seats, honey. That is all I have for you today. My camera's about to die again, and I also hit the bar just now. I hope that this helped you a lot, and I hope that you go on to the 3rd video. Please comment below and message me if you need anything. Like I said in the first ETUDE video, I'm really happy to help you if you need any help, or just go to your teachers, directors. I mean, that's what they're for.